was taught that I was the Samaritan in that story. It's funny, isn't it? How even the best of men can be deceived by their true nature.
What the hell does that mean?
It means that I'm not the Samaritan. That I'm like the priest or the Levite. That I am the ill intent who set upon the traveler on a road that he should not have been on.
Wilson Fisk, the Kingpin of crime, is not just a villain. He's a psychological enigma, a man who embodies the duality of brute force and calculated intellect, of chaos and order. He's ruthless yet methodical, feared yet charismatic. But beneath the controlled demeanor lies a complex web of trauma, obsession, and an unrelenting hunger for dominance. Today, we unravel the deep psychology of power and control by dissecting Fisk's Machiavellian leadership, authoritarian mindset, and the existential paradox that ultimately leads to his downfall. Welcome to Unmasked. To understand Fisk's need for control, we must begin at the root, his childhood. Raised under the tyranny of an abusive father, young Wilson learned a cruel lesson. Power is survival, and to submit is to be destroyed. Psychological studies show that prolonged exposure to violence in early development conditions the brain to associate dominance with security. The pivotal moment in Fisk's life, murdering his father, was more than an act of self-defense. It was a psychological transformation. The powerless child became the wielder of power. This trauma, however, did not liberate him. Instead, it trapped him into a cycle of control, a relentless fear that if he's not in absolute command, the chaos of his past will consume him once more. Unlike the Joker, who embraces chaos, or Lex Luthor, who thrives on ego, Fisk's psychology is driven by a deep-seated terror of disorder. This fear does not make him weak, it makes him dangerous, because for Wilson Fisk, power is not just a means to an end. Power is survival. Fisk's leadership style mirrors the teachings of Niccolo Machiavelli. Machiavelli states that a ruler must be feared rather than loved, if he cannot be both. That deception is a tool of governance, and that morality is secondary to control. Fisk does not simply embody these ideas, he refines them. Unlike traditional criminals who rely solely on intimidation, Fisk understands that true power is perception. He meticulously constructs his public persona as a benevolent businessman, a savior of the city, while simultaneously orchestrating a vast network of corruption and violence. This duality, both savior and tyrant, makes him uniquely dangerous. To Fisk, morality is a constraint of the weak. He does not kill for pleasure, but out of necessity. Every act of brutality is justified by a greater vision, his vision. This is the essence of Machiavellian morality. The end always justifies the means. But what happens when the means become the obsession? Fisk's rule is not unlike that of a dictator. Psychologists studying authoritarianism have identified key traits common in figures of absolute power: a belief in hierarchical order, intolerance for opposition, and a reliance on fear to maintain control. Fisk operates under the belief that without a singular, dominant force governing society, anarchy will reign. This belief fuels his need to eradicate opposition completely, because to allow dissent is to invite instability, and for Fisk, instability is death. But there is a fatal flaw in this mindset. The stronger his grip, the more fragile his empire becomes. The more he destroys his enemies, the more enemies he creates. And in the end, the very control he seeks becomes the thing that undoes him. In the end, power is an illusion. No matter how much Fisk controls, he can never escape the ghosts of his past. He's not just building an empire. He's battling his own fears, his own demons, his own devil. And that is what ultimately makes him vulnerable. Wilson Fisk is one of the most complex villains in comic book history, not just because of his strength, but because of his philosophy. His need to control makes him a leader, but it also makes him a prisoner of his own fears. So the question is Wilson Fisk a necessary evil, or is his vision of order just another form of tyranny? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this deep dive into Fisk's psychology, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more in-depth character breakdowns. Thanks for watching.